Well, welcome back. Today I'm with Belladonna Riso. She is in Salt Lake City, Utah, and I've been doing some other kind of Zoomy calls stuff with her lately, and just been so impressed about what she's doing and what her story is. And I wanted to get to know her a little bit more today. And I learned something interesting already. She had a pretty big turning point in her life that kind of resulted in where she is today. So we're going to let Belladonna tell us all about it. We'll be right back after about 20 seconds.
This is Honey Badger Nation,
where real estate agents from around the globe come together
to grow, collaborate,
and expand their business.
Where we take our individual fires and put them together and make one big fire.
This is the Honey Badger Nation.
Wow, that's a great intro.
In the house. That is such a cool name, Belladonna Riso. How did a nice Irish girl like you end up with a name like that?
Well, I'm
Just
like
kidding.
quarter Irish. The half Sicilian part of me got the whole name.
I didn't know you had any Irish in you, so I was just kidding around with you.
I actually quarter Irish, quarter German, and the rest is pure Sicilian. Like my mother is a mad woman.
Well, we'll save that for another day. Let's talk about real estate today. So, been in business about 17 years, I hear.
Yeah, I've been through all the markets, I think, at this point.
Well, that, interesting time, if I'm doing my math right on when that was, you got in right at the end of the last heyday and then had to learn in the school of hard knocks.
Oh, yeah, baby.
How was that?
I got in like in October of 2005. I had like a year of good market, and then I got punched in the face.
Yeah.
And then it was like getting punched in the face every day for, roughly 10 years. So.
It's character building. You
Yes,
have a character building experience. So, okay, so you got in, you had to get out and really, hustle to make a living. Were you able to survive through all of that?
Yeah, actually, I have to say a lot of, I think my early success was because I picked the right brokerage out of the gate.
Mm-hmm.
I picked brokerage that did a lot. I know, depending on who's listening, they were just like Mike Ferry people. That's all they taught. And so that's all I got taught in my early years of real estate. So I showed up to work with a real estate license my first day, walked in, said, "What do I do?" They stuck me on the phone. They gave me a script. They pointed me towards, we called it the pit. It was this giant bullpen full of stand-up cubicles where you would just go and make cold calls. And so they sent me into the pit with a script and a list of numbers. They said, "Call these people and see if you can set an appointment." And I'm like, "Okay, who are they?" They're like, they're people trying to sell their home and they don't have an agent yet. See if you can get an appointment. Okay. So obviously we all know those are for sale by owners. So I actually literally started calling for sale by owners my first day with the real estate license, set a listing appointment that day and took a listing the next day.
Wow.
And I just thought that's how you did real estate. I thought that's how everybody did it.
Uh-huh.
But I didn't have much of an SOI to speak of. I was transplant to the state. I hadn't been here very long at all. I had no friends, no family, no hobbies, no anything that would kind of help me meet people. So I was pretty dependent on strangers for my business early on.
Mm-hmm.
So I just got in the habit of, I just showed up every day, Monday through Friday, prospected for a few hours, and then went on appointments for the rest of the week. And ironically, not too long after that, the market kind of gave us all a swift kick in the butt.
We had a shift.
Yes, we had a shift. Yeah, what we have now is a shift. What we had then was the crash that shall not be named.
Right. Okay. Exactly.
Yeah, right.
We got our clocks cleaned.
Oh man, I can remember when Bear Stearns collapsed. I can remember when Goldman Sachs, they were like, "It's Goldman going down next." And like I banked at WAMU, Washington Mutual. I was watching the Bloomberg report, like the opening bell or whatever on Bloomberg TV. It's like 6 a.m. And they're like, federal regulators have seized WAMU. And I was like, that's my bank.
Well, I would imagine that you learn some skills though there that are coming in would come in handy in this market, even though it's a shadow of what it was before. But the skill set now. I mean, so many agents have been in. The average length of time a realtor's been in business is 8 years. That means a lot of people who haven't seen any sort of shift before. So what's your skill set that you learned then that you would recommend to agents now?
Oh, without a doubt, because I was a listing agent. That was my only focus. I did not look for buyers. All the buyers that I worked either came through past clients or sign calls or things like that. So I would say, first and foremost, you've got to be a listing agent if you want longevity in this business. Because if we think about real estate is our business, but listings are our inventory. And if you walked into a grocery store and they had nothing on the shelf, you'd be in trouble as a business. So I kind of think of real estate like that. So my primary focus was always to take listings. And then I was listing during a time when the market was in actual free fall. And so it was dropping by percentage points monthly, right? So I had to have a really solid strategy for getting my listing sold. So even during the crash, my expiration rate was only about 2%. I sold about 98% of the homes that I listed. I sold them within 30 to 60 days at a time when inventory was sitting on the market for like 9-10 months. So and none of it's rocket science, right? None of it was, but it came down to having a rock solid listing presentation, helping the home sellers self-discover what the best price for their home was going to be, not just kind of jam it down their throat. But first and foremost, I had to know how to price real property. And boy, that's school of hard knocks sometimes, especially when the market is shifting so quickly. So you have to I think these are just basic skills for every agent to master, right? You've got to know how to price real property as accurately as you possibly can for the marketplace. You need to have a price reduction strategy that's in stone, because sometimes despite our best efforts, either we get it a little wrong because it's still subjective pricing homes despite our best efforts. And sometimes the market just shifts and we're not, instead of ahead of it, we're trailing it. And you've got to, I'm telling you, man, if you're listing, you have got to get in front of the market. You can't keep chasing it down.
Exactly. Do you have a written strategy agreed to on a listing agreement that after a certain amount of time or a certain number of showings, we automatically go to something so that you don't have to make all those hard price reduction calls?
That's such a great question. So what I do at my listing appointments is I really future pace my clients. So what I mean when I say that is I let them understand that we're going to do our level best to get the home priced right out of the gate at a price that's going to cause the home to sell and cause it to sell quickly. So back then that was within 30 days. Now it's like,
it's getting to be that again.
3 months ago, it was 30 seconds, And so, and then I would explain to them that we had a strategy in the case that didn't happen. And how would we know? We were going to let the market speak to us because the market never lies. Right. So based on our activity, they were prepared for a price reduction if it was coming. And I would do my absolute best to get the home priced right from the first day it was listed. So I had a lot of objection handlers we'd like to list high to leave room for negotiating. That's a terrible strategy. And now that's not what I would tell them, right? I'd be more tactful. But in the event that I did list it higher than I wanted the property listed, I would have them sign the first price reduction form at the same time they signed the listing, and it was for 2 weeks out. So if in 2 weeks we weren't under contract or dead close to going under contract, that was signed and it was approved in advance. And in 2 weeks, we could automatically drop to the recommended price. And then at that point, if that recommended price didn't cause the home to sell and all other things were accounted for. So I never skimped on photography ever. So great photography on the property. The home is showing as well as it can possibly show. And if it doesn't, it was priced to sell at whatever level it was. So I believe all problems are solvable with price, even if the home's even if it's a knockdown, you can sell a knockdown at the right price, right?
Right.
So assuming photos are in place, it's actually presenting correctly on the MLS. I know that sounds stupid, but one of the other specialties was expired listings. And I was startled by how many times. So in Utah, our addresses are a little bit like New York. You get a set of coordinates, right? So a common address here might be 13th East, 2400 South. Well, if there was a typo and it said 13th West instead of East, your house isn't going to show up when people do a search. That's a little bit of a problem. Making sure that all the amenities are listed appropriately on the MLS. So Utah, we're an outdoor state. If you've got RV parking, it better bloody well say RV parking on the MLS. Because there will be buyers that aren't looking at a home that doesn't have it, right?
Right.
So making sure that it's everything that the home offers is being reflected appropriately. We've got great remarks. We're on every website known to man. And then now, of course, I would up that again. And I would say you're on all the appropriate social media platforms.
Right. So Belladonna, let's do this. Because I want to hear, how your whole transitions through all this. Maybe let's set up a call just for listing strategy, scripts and dialogues.
Sure.
Because I know we could spend an hour just doing that.
Oh, yeah.
And we're birds of a feather on that too. And I've had to list correctly or not eat at a couple different times in my career. So let's drill down on that. But so you were there, you were at School of Hard Knocks. It was the Great Recession. And then what?
So in 2009, like a bunch of psychos, so I was with the same broker for almost my entire career. And he did have a little change of company. He split up with his partner and then he had to wait a little while to restart a new brokerage. When that happened, he restarted his new brokerage in 2009. Now we're in the thick of the market crash and Utah was hit hard. So he starts his new company. He's got 18 agents. I moved to Coldwell Banker when he left the original company. So I was at Coldwell for a couple of years and he calls me up and he's like, come back. And I'm like, okay, fine. So I joined this little independent brokerage with 18 agents. And he's like, hey, I'd love you to manage for me. And let's grow this brokerage together. And I'm like, in the middle of a crash? Sure, why not? So we start growing this little independent indie brokerage. It was called Everest Realty Group here in Utah. And we grew the hell out of it, man, because we were all serious. We recruited heavily. We cold agents, but we also offered lots of great training and lots of support and coaching. And our agents tended to be the top agents in the state because of the support we gave them. So it's easy to grow a brokerage when you offer a lot of cool stuff. We grew. We became the largest in the state of Utah. I was managing through most of that time, and then we took on the Century 21 franchise.
Can
and then we were like,
there for a second?
Yeah.
So I don't want to get, into specifics on this, but I'm curious. So your job was to build the business for your broker/friend, right?
Yes. And train agents and field and
ensure their success.
Yep.
So your job was to recruit agents, bring them into the brokerage,
broker,
train them, and support them to be successful. That was your job.
That
Okay.
was my job.
So
And friend or not, you'd get fired if you didn't do it. Like
What do you mean?
it was a pretty intense.
The agent would get fired if they didn't.
No, the manager would.
Okay.
I would.
So my question though to you is, how did you get compensated? I don't need any real dollar amounts, but was it a
Salary.
one-time reward finder's fee for finding an agent, straight salary, any
It
kind
was
of recurring based on their production, any of that?
nothing. And I
So you were
recruited
salaried.
hundreds of agents. A lot of their
You were on a
top
salary, so he
producers.
paid you to do this.
Yes,
Okay.
I was paid salary,
Uh-huh.
and I did get a small. It was like $200 per agent that joined.
And that agent turns out to be a mega producer for the broker, and he's making money for the next 10 years. What did you get?
Nada.
Nothing.
Nada.
Interesting model.
And I took a pay
Okay.
cut. I took a pay cut to manage, because as we all know, a busy full-time agent makes a hell of a lot more than a salaried managing broker most of the time.
Of course.
But I was actually I was super excited to grow the company, and I was constantly thinking, well, as I move up, the money will move up. I'll have some stability, some security. God help me, I had health and care again. So I had 2 kids. It seemed like the smart, safe move. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I was all in for years. I was just a total psycho about helping him build his company.
So you helped him build his company for years.
Yes.
And at the end of that period of time, so there you are, you're helping him build his company. And I'm gonna take a wild guess here that there at some point you woke up and went, what?
I can tell.
Did he do well with his company?
Oh, he is a multi-millionaire. We went out to breakfast about 6 months ago, and he pulled up in a Lamborghini, and I got out of my Volvo and I looked at him and I said, "Are we allowed to swear on your podcast?"
Oh, sure.
I looked at him and he got out and I said, "I bought you that fucking car."
Well, it's you got a right to say something along those lines, because I mean, here you are, you did the work bringing people to his company. You helped to support them to make them great producing agents, which is fine. And he reaped all the benefit, and you got, your paycheck on Friday.
Yes.
So
yes.
I can see how that might have, been a little bit of rock, a pebble in your shoe, which started to get bigger and bigger. So what happened? What changed there?
Well, and I will say this in all, because I'm just like, what you see is what you get with me. The owner, and there were 2 owners, he almost died twice, and he risked everything to build this company. He literally almost died twice as a young man in his 40s, 2 heart attacks.
Whoa.
Almost lost his house.
Oh, it's stressful being a broker, I'll tell you that much.
No kidding. Like he gambled it all at a time when that was crazy too, so, and he's a phenomenal trainer, speaker, motivational coach. I mean, he's a great guy. I'll shout out George Morris, right? He's a great guy. It was my mentor all through my real estate years coming up. And so I was really all in helping him build this company. And then, and I kind of was I knew that at some point it would get explosively big, that my position would grow with the company and I'd make a hell of a lot more money than I was making then, which was under 6 figures, I'm going to say, at the time. So what started to happen was life. Like I kind of I totally drank the Kool-Aid that I was going to help them build this massive company. And it is massive. They are the largest Century 21 in the world today, right here in Salt Lake City, And then my personal life blew up. I got divorced. My husband was a broker at the company. And then my son was in the Army and got hurt. I had to fight the Army through 3 medical boards to get him the care he needed. And my daughter became very, very ill at the same time. And very ill. She almost died. She was in ICU multiple times. And then I had to put her in a hospital out of state because it was the only one that could help her with her condition and took my insurance. So, because she was covered through VA insurance. And then, so I've got one kid in one hospital, one kid in another hospital out of state. I'm trying to run 3 offices, couple hundred agents. And like, people would say, this is like no joke. My agents would come to me and be like, are you okay?
Yeah.
And I'd be like, I'm fine. I'll have a nervous breakdown when I can fit it into my schedule, you know, but actually, yeah.
It's a woman for you.
True story.
So-
And then it got to the point where I couldn't do it all. And I had to quit managing because
Well, I know that. So we are both with eXp now.
yeah.
What did your journey to here? What was, I mean, I'm going to say there was some pain involved in the transition, right? What inspired you to start to explore this opportunity?
Well, I went back to what I have always done, which is prospecting really hard and then going on listing appointments. So, but at least I had control of my schedule back. I was doing that extremely hard. I got really sick of it and started an online course for agents learning how to generate leads online. That got me somehow on eXp's radar for a couple of eXp agents, and they were nice people, and they weren't being obnoxious, but you got to understand, I was a lifer at C21, and I was a badass I shouldn't say badass. I was a hard ass recruiter, and so I didn't want to hear it, you know. So for 18 months, I basically told him like, leave me the hell alone. I'm never leaving. I helped build this place. I had a sweet deal. I had a free office. The owners are friends. If I needed a favor, if I needed whatever, they'd give it to me. You know what I mean? And then I started a real estate team because I was like, Jesus, I need a life. I'm working 24/7. When is it ever going to stop? So I started a real estate team. Long story short, I needed to talk to a team leader who could give me some advice on like, what were the best platforms to run a team? How are you allocating your ad budget? How much is going to Google and how much to Facebook? Because all the team leaders at my old office would not tell me, even though I'd helped them build their teams. They were like, Bella, love you, but I wouldn't tell my brother that. Like, you're the competition now. And so I met this wonderful guy. He was a friend of my partner because I partnered to create my team because I didn't want to run it alone. His name was Fred Weaver. Love them, of Kevin and Fred. They're really well known. He was like a godsend, the nicest guy in the world. Gave me 2 hours of his time for nothing. Asked me nothing in return. But I noticed that he was eXp because he was sharing his screens with me. And I was like, so I mocked him a little. Isn't that rude? Here he is, helps me. And I'm like, I said, eXp, really, Fred? Really? Like KW knockoff? And he was like, well, not really. I was at KW. And I'm like, well, what do you like about it? And I felt like I owed him because he had been so kind and helpful to me. And this is no joke. We are on the call because we were on a Zoom. He started showing me eXp. And when he got to the revenue share part and he showed me what he was earning and how little time it had took him, I swear to, but I said a bunch of bad words when I saw the number. I jumped out of my chair. I'm not even kidding. And I was like, are you serious? I was like, are you kidding me? And he was like, no, Bella, that's it. And I said, that's it. We're moving.
So 18 months, it was on your radar, and it was the one call where you found somebody who was just so open and willing to share with no expectation in return after you hadn't been able to get people that you had recruited to your office to
help me,
to pull the curtain back a little bit.
Yeah.
And so it would just clicked for you. And then, there is that, the revenue share, right? So, for another day, right? Because it can't be, there is that. And so it just clicked for you and you decided this is my spot.
That's it. I mean, and I was really taking it on faith that what he was telling me was the truth. And here's the thing. I thought I knew what eXp was, and I didn't know shit. I thought it was a KW knockoff, and I had recruited against KW for years. I had their number. I knew what they were about. And I couldn't have been more wrong. And so
In what ways? So what have you found since you've been with eXp?
Oh my gosh. One, I came over here with my fingers crossed, right? Knowing that I was going to hightail it back to C21 if it sucked, right? Because I was careful to preserve that relationship with my old company.
Mm-hmm.
And what I discovered was there was a whole lot that Kevin and Fred didn't tell me, and all of it was good. I was like, they're such boys, you know. I could not believe I was paying $1,300 a month for a platform that KV Core replaced for freaking free. The education and training, I thought my old brokerage did a lot of training because we trained live like 5 hours a week. You know, when I joined, there was 70 hours a week of live training. Listen, I had a real estate team with all agents that were fresh out of real estate school. All I did was train. So I could like plug them in to phenomenal training. And it took that off my shoulders as a team leader. Right. And then I could do more mentoring as opposed to like nuts and bolts training. Mm-hmm. Oh my God, this just burnt my ass. Can I say the stock? Because I think for most of my career, I would have qualified as an icon agent. Mm-hmm. And I do have some cute little glass trophies on the other side of this camera. That's what I got. Versus I would have had thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars worth of stock had I had made the move, you know, eXp earlier. The support, the broker support. Okay. I can remember every time I bought a new computer at my old brokerage, I was like, here we go. Trying to get it hooked up to the internet and hooked up to the printer. I'd run up 4 floors, go find the IT guy. God bless him. He's outnumbered like 1,600 agents to 1, you know, and sometimes it would take me 3 days to track him down. You know what I mean? And so now I don't think I ever spend less than 30 seconds, like true story in the world when I need help, like for tech support or something.
Yep. Me too.
And then of course, revenue share. And all of that stuff is cool, truly, but I don't think I would have moved for it because I was pretty cushy and happy where I was, you know. But revenue share was a game changer for me because for me, this is like, seriously, medical bills wiped me out twice, actually 3 times if I really stopped to think about it because I had my own stuff. So like I didn't have a penny to my name in savings. I was strictly like living on commissions. Mm-hmm. And I think I just turned 53 this year. I was going to be able to retire when I was like, I don't know, 90.
110.
Yeah, probably not even then. I'd be like 100-year-old lady out there trying to list and sell homes. It's like, I joke about it, but it's the freaking truth.
Yeah.
And when
it's Belladonna, not just for you, it's the truth for so many of us.
Oh yeah.
And, you know, and sadly, you know, what we do is because we know we can always go out there and get one more deal. That's going to solve it, right? That's going to get the taxes paid or the credit card bill paid off or whatever. And, you know, at the end of our career, we have nothing to show for it, but signs and lock boxes.
That's it. And every time I built up my savings, something would happen to wipe it out. Something unforeseen. And so, and I didn't invest much in real estate, but partly because I just didn't know enough about it to feel comfortable. Partly because I seemed to careen from one medical catastrophe to another. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And so, at the end of the day, I utterly, absolutely, completely saw it as my exit strategy. And I know how doable it is you just have to show agents a solution to their problems. And most of them are happy to join, or at least happy to give you a few minutes of their time, because, that's what I did, helping my friend build his company very successfully. And the fact is, and I don't begrudge him a penny of it, but he is a very wealthy man today, in part because of the years of work I put into building his company. And agents might not realize it. They go, yeah, but Bella, you were a broker. That was your job. Yeah, it's your job too. Because if you're an agent working for a brokerage that you don't own, you're building their empire, not yours. And if you're working for a brokerage that you own, like you're the principal broker of your own brokerage, like it's an indie or you own the franchise, oh, spare me. We both know that it owns you.
Right.
Try not showing up to work for a month and see how good your brokerage is running.
Yeah.
Right. Try turning your phone off on vacation. You can't. Right. That thing owns you. You don't own it. And so, not to mention, you have to put you have to risk so much to have your own brokerage, unless you stay really small and, operate like a really small brokerage, in which case you're not making a tremendous amount of money. So it's like one or the other, right?
Or if you're a producing broker of a small brokerage, if you really take a look at your numbers, it's probably your production that's keeping the thing afloat.
It absolutely. And so so where's your exit strategy? I'll tell you where it is. It's nowhere. It's an illusion. And you tell yourself that you either tell yourself a lie or you just don't think about it. Right? One or the other. At least I can't. That's what I did. So,
right. That's what we all do.
For me, this was my absolute godsend of a solution that would allow me to keep working for the next 5 years. I've got a 5-year plan. In 5 years, I'm out. I'm 2 years in. Okay, I got 3 years left.
Well, I'm going to hold you to that 3 years, because I've had a 5-year plan for about 15 years now.
Yeah.
Until my recent change. And so now I'm definitely, the clock is ticking and we're not moving it.
That's it. And it's, and I'll do whatever I need to do to get there. But the fact is, I've been having a freaking riot since I came to eXp. Like, it was the best thing I ever did. And so mostly I just throw big fun parties, and we call them events. No, they really are. I just throw big events that I bring in, like agent panels based on a specific topic. The last one we just did was short-term rentals. The last two before that were on Instagram. I always do like mimosas and food, and we just pour on the value. We make sure everybody leaves going, wow, I learned a lot. And then, it's a great way to make friends with lots of agents. And then it gives me a reason to be able to talk to them, especially if you start with having done something really beneficial to help them with their business. Never any strings attached. And that's been a really good model for us so far.
Well, and you mentioned it before, when like the first time that eXp as a company was really on your radar, legitimately on your radar, was when you experienced the degree to which we pretty much all share now in eXp. I mean, the culture, you talk about a culture in a company, and I've been in, and I have no shade to throw on my previous affiliations, but the culture of sharing is pretty mind-blowing, actually.
Oh, it's insane. It's insane, because like, I dare you, in the average company, walk into your top producer, your number one guy or gal, walk into their office and say, hey, could I please have your listing presentation? Would you give that to me? And then would you tell me how you do it? What do you say? What are your handouts? And what's your marketing? Would you just give them?
Could you just send them to me so that I can just change them, put my branding on them?
Yeah. And
try that one.
And see what the response is. See what kind of answer you get to that. And yet here, I have found that agents, whether they have any actual financial connection to you or not in this brokerage, will say, sure, here you go. I've never seen anything like it.
We're all in it together. We're all owners.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Well, Belladonna, it's just been, I know you're busy, and, I really value the time that you've given to us this morning. Maybe when we get this posted, we'll get contact information, but if somebody has anything they want to talk about, listing presentations, we've both been through a couple of tough markets and learned how to run a business doing that. Happy to help, happy to share. Maybe we'll do another call just on listing presentation, right?
Yeah, just on price reductions.
And on price
got a
reductions,
whole
exactly.
strategy
And on
for that.
staying ahead of the curve of the market instead of chasing the market down.
Yeah.
Some timely stuff right there. Well, so reach out. We're here for you. Thank you so much. And thank you especially, Belladonna, for your time. Belladonna, again, is in Salt Lake City, Utah. And I'm here in Reno, Nevada. Super happy to help you guys out. And I have a feeling that Belladonna and I are going to be keeping close touch with each other.
Yes, we are. I love Reno.
Good. Come on over.
Town. I thought about moving there. I was like, I love this town.
Well, when you come over, we'll think about it again. I live here on purpose.
That's awesome. Okay, so I'm calling you if I'm moving.
Okay, perfect.
You got
Deal.
a house out there.
Okay. All right. Thanks. Have a great week, Belladonna.
Talk to you soon.
All
Bye-bye.
right, bye.